All right. Thank you so much for joining us today, Lucy, for this new segment. I'm really excited to have a chat and learn more about what you do on site. So, tell us a little bit about what your role is right now. What are you doing on site?
Currently I'm an underground bogger operator. So I drive one of them loaders, pick up dirt, shift it, put on trucks, clean up headings for the jumbo operators. Yeah, that's pretty much what a bogger operator does.
Fantastic. And how did you get into that role? Is that your first role on site? Did you change sites to get into that role? Have you progressed through your career? Tell us a little bit about getting
Um,
into that role.
well, it all probably started back when my mining career started back when I started being a mine site cleaner back when I was 18. I did that for a few months and then I progressed into a camp administrator role. I was in that role for 2 years and then I jumped into underground and I've been underground for 5 years now. I first started off on a truck, worked my way up to a nipper, then did what they call service crew on and off for a while, and then bit of charge up here and there. And now I've just been on the bogger for 4 years almost. Yeah.
Wow, fantastic. And has that all been at the same site or have you changed sites over the years?
My first underground site I was at for there for 4 years, almost 4 years, just on 4 years. And then I left there and I've been at my new site for over a year and a couple months now. But yeah, most of my underground experience I got from the one site, which was good.
Yeah. And how did you find the process of like applying for the job and getting to it? Was it easier, do you think, because you were already in the industry, or did you still find it quite difficult to change sites, progress in your career?
I definitely think it helped being at the camp because I obviously saw faces a lot that were like local faces that were in the industry already working underground at different sites around the area in Kalgoorlie. But so that helped and I had a resume handed out every now and then to companies there. But originally it worked out that I got the job underground from a friend and my partner at the time. He was working at that site and yeah, it just all fell into place really. And I got lucky and started a green truckie program underground.
Yeah. Do you think it's easier getting into the industry if you have those connections? I know a
Yeah.
lot of people say, similar things. It's who you know in the industry to get that step in the door. Do you feel like that was definitely the case for you?
Yeah, definitely 100%, I reckon. I mean, I've heard people obviously moving to Kalgoorlie and going through um like local recruitment agencies and stuff, and they seem to have just as much luck, but it definitely helps if you want a specific site to go to you it helps knowing someone for sure.
Yeah. And how did you find career progression and changing roles and working underground and doing all of that as a female in the industry? I guess we're seeing a lot of change now, but did you ever come across like any blocks, any speed bumps because of being a woman in the industry and wanting to change roles?
Yeah, definitely. I have come across some hurdles, especially when being on the truck obviously wasn't too bad because a lot of that's where the girls start. They all start on a truck. But progressing off the truck, I have faced some hurdles like going into like the nipper role or service crew role. Obviously that you get the backlash of oh you can't lift that or you can't do that. But I know you kind of just take it with a pinch of salt and be open minded and prove them
Yeah.
wrong, I guess. And
Yeah.
I mean, there's no role underground that a girl can't do. Any
Yeah.
girl can do any of the roles underground just as good as a guy can. You just have to be shown the right way and take it on board and listen to any feedback that anyone says and take
Yeah.
on all the training.
Yeah, they do provide a lot of training these days. So for those that might be looking at getting into the industry or brand new, just explain for a second what a nipper is.
Oh, so
There's
you're
lots
pretty
of
much,
these words that people don't know and they ask me all
yeah,
the time. So if you can just explain, yeah, just briefly.
you're pretty much the jumbo operators little sidekick. You do, like, you go get them whatever they need, you bring them their bolts, their mesh, you then help them what they call bolt meshing. So you load all their steels on, you load all their bolts on so that they can do their job. You're pretty much their little sidekick and their little bitch, really. So whatever they tell you to do, you go and do.
Yeah. And do you find like that's probably one of the most physically demanding jobs that you've done?
Yeah, I'd say nippering for sure and charge up. They
Yeah.
both are probably very much on par. Probably nippering, yeah, they're both very physical. But not to
Yeah.
say that a girl can't do it, because girls definitely can't do it.
Yeah. And that's all, I guess covered under your medicals and stuff these days. They go through
Yeah.
strength and stuff like that when you do your medical. So, hey, if you pass your medical, there's no saying that you can't do anything.
No, that's exactly right. And your jumbo operators are very helpful for like new people.
Mm.
Obviously, they want to show you, they obviously want you to be good because you're helping them. Like if you're like not up to speed to how they want you to be, then they'll more than likely do everything they can to help you, because if you're helping them, it helps them. Like they're the
Yeah.
ones that need your help to get the money that they need to make.
Yeah. So
They
you're
want to
working
make.
quite closely as a team, and I guess it's a role where it only works if you work well as a team.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody wins if you're not, yeah, working well together.
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic. And how long did you do that role for?
Oh, on and off. I was lucky to start at the first site that I was in. We weren't just in a set role, like we got mixed around. Like if your truck was out for service, you'd get a day going nippering or get a day going service crew. And then over time, like there's a lot of employers that were coming and going. So I was lucky enough to, yeah, just do it more and more and eventually just not be on the truck anymore, and maybe like on and off 6 months. I was lucky. I wasn't really doing nippering full time for very long, which is good. I know some people get stuck doing it for years before they move up.
Yeah. All right. So I'd love to get like a first-hand look at what a day in the life looks like. So for you, for your role that you're doing now, what does a typical day look like? What time do you start in the morning? How does a day run?
Well, at my site now, we're 6 till 6. So normally get to work at about 5:30, quarter to 6, do a handover with the bogger up that was on the night before or the day before, shift before me. Get a rundown of obviously where he was working, any machine faults, all that type of stuff. And then we head into our shift meeting, which is at 6. It normally goes for about 15-20 minutes. They just run through the plan for the day, the targets, any incidents that happened the night before, stuff to be aware of. And then we head down in a shaft at my site that I'm at, which is pretty cool. And then obviously if I'm on development or production, there's two different bogger roles for the day normally. If I'm on development, I'd be cleaning up the headings that the jumbo fired the shift before. If I was on production, I'd be picking up the dirt from like an open hole. And then, yeah, you pretty much transfer the dirt into a stockpile and then load it onto a truck or tip it down an ore pass or tip it into a waste pass. What else do I do? Obviously, if there's freshly fired dirt, you have to water it down. So you have to get out of your machine, hook up a big hose, run it all the way out to where the freshly fired dirt is, and then water it all down so that it eliminates like the dust and stuff down there, because it's pretty like fumy after a heading's been fired. But yeah.
Yeah. And you get breaks for the day. So if you have like smoker, lunch break, things like that, do you come back up?
No, so
Rest?
we're
No?
underground. We're underground for the whole
Yeah.
shift, pretty much. You're only, yeah, I've never really come up unless something happens that you need to come up
Yeah.
for, but not really. Generally underground for the whole shift. So our fuel bay's underground, our crib room's underground, but being a bogger up and loading the trucks, pretty much you're just loading and then eating on the side.
Yeah.
You don't really go up and have a break as such. I mean, when we go and fuel up fuel up. We can have a break then, but we normally like work and eat on the go.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Can
that,
be hard.
yeah. And you're so finishing up for the end of the day, you'd finish at 6 o'clock or 5:30, 6 o'clock, and then you'd go and do your handover then to the next shift. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how do you find handovers? What sorts of things do you run through with them? Just what's been happening at night time? Do they then go and do what, like take on exactly what you've been doing, or is there, they'd be doing different sections?
Depends. Like if I finish the job where I was at, they don't obviously need to go back and do anything there because it's all been completed. But for like production side of things, normally like we're like in stopes for weeks or days at a time. So that could be where they next go, like the same place. But yeah, normally we just run through any hazards, like if the road was really rough or if there's any hazards there, we normally just make sure we discuss them. Like if there's something wrong with what they call the brow, if it's like a potential hazard to fall down or something, we normally discuss if they need to take any tools down to fix a hose or yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic. I love it. Day in the life. And obviously now you are residential, so
Yeah.
you get to go home at night time. Um, has there been a time where you've done it as a FIFO position?
Nah, so I've always been local in Kalgoorlie, Kambalda when I first come here. So I've always drove in, drove out, which has been good. I don't know how I would go being a FIFO person.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy the residential lifestyle. Is it just, do you find for you being residential, it's just you get the comforts of going home at night and really being able to de-stress from the day?
Yeah, I reckon. I feel like one of the positives about being a FIFO would be not having to go home and cook. That's the only downfall after a 12-hour day and being like the girl, like, because my partner works shift work as well. So he either gets home later than me or very rarely gets home before me. So still have to go home and do the cooking and
Yeah.
live that way, which that would be the only downfall probably about being residential is you still have to have that normal side of life, as in chores and making sure the housework is done. And yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And would you say, like on site, do you find that there is a difference between the FIFO workers and the residential workers? Do you find that you are all able to still form a really good bond, even though you're not like living with them as such? Do you find any difference there?
I'd probably say just no, I'd probably say we're probably got more of a well, I've never experienced FIFO, so I'm not really sure what that's like, but I'd probably say that the connection's just as good because normally after like a swing we go for end of swing drinks or like I've become quite good friends with a fair few of the other ladies and guys on my site. So like we catch up on break and stuff, go to the gym with a few of the girls. Like feel like yeah,
You can
probably
have
just
that
as much.
social aspect with them as well because you're all, I guess, going back to the same place. Whereas doing FIFO, you could be going anywhere essentially around
Yeah.
Australia on your
And
days
you
off.
probably don't ever see them on their days off. You probably only have that relationship with them at work and then that's it. But that kind of can be healthy as well, like having yeah.
Yeah, positives to both sides of it.
Yeah, there are, hey.
Yeah, yeah. As someone that lived the residential lifestyle as well, I absolutely loved it. I really did. I loved being residential and being involved in the community and seeing
Yeah.
people on their days off and stuff as well. It wasn't just like work relationships. We were able
Yeah.
to have social time and our families, like our kids could all meet each other and stuff. So I guess
Yeah.
it was in some ways easier because but even if you're just the partner as well, you can actually get to meet these people, whereas when you're
Yeah, who
doing
you work
FIFO
with.
you don't really put faces to names, you just hear these names all
Nah.
the time. And yeah, yeah.
And that could be really hard for a relationship, I find. Like
Mm,
if your partner comes home and they're talking about their day and you don't even know who they're talking about, or
yeah,
at least if you're like in a residential role, you can introduce your partner to like your crew and stuff like on your days off, because obviously they're in Calgary, like the same town as you. So
yeah, yeah,
good that way. And
yeah.
like
And being
my site now,
residential, sorry, could say that.
I was gonna say my site now that I'm at does like functions every month, like if you're
Oh,
part of
okay.
like a social club. So that's been really good.
Yeah, that's really fantastic. I like that. Yeah. All right, so let's move on. Why did you get into the industry? Was money your motivation to get into the mining industry? Did you have any other motivating factors when you looked at getting into the industry?
Probably not. Money
No,
definitely was
money.
the only reason. Like I moved over from Victoria when I was 18 with the partner at the time to get into mining to obviously have the mining wage come in and experience all of that. But yeah, I'd definitely 100% say it was for the money, and that's why we come into it.
Yeah, yeah. And it's been enough motivation. How long now have you been in the industry?
26 now, so 8 years, underground 5, cleaning for 6, in an admin mining camp role for 2. So yeah, nearly 8 years.
Yeah, amazing. And do you see yourself being in the industry and even in this role for more time to come?
If I'm being completely honest, probably not. I've had my time. I've done the things I've wanted to have done over the last fair few years. I've been on all the holidays I could have during COVID, like outside of COVID. Bought my first home. I've bought 2 new cars since I've been in mining. Like I have I've done my time. I think it's
Yeah,
almost time for me to kiss and release. But
yeah,
yeah.
amazing. So
I mean,
how,
that is in like an operating term. Like I'd
yeah,
potentially do something um down the down the track in like a safety or like HR type of role in
mm,
mining. I'd be more than happy to do something like that. But operating, I don't want to be operating for forever. No
yeah,
way.
yeah. So talking about your role and saying it's not something that you want to do forever, how has the role impacted your physical and mental health?
Oh, it's been through hell and back, I'd say. I don't know, just because going down, like you literally go down the hole for 12 hours, 10 to 12 hours a shift. And normally you're on swing for like 7 days. Some people are on swing for 2 weeks. Like and you're inside your own head for those 10 to
Mm,
12 hours down there. Like it's not good for your mental health, that's for sure. But I don't know, I feel like it's a big sacrifice and stuff that we put on ourselves when we do it. And
yeah,
it definitely has impacted my mental health for sure, and like my social interaction with people as well. Like I feel like that's something that I really have missed for sure since I've been in mining.
yeah,
Like because you sit in a machine all day on your own. I like get excited when I go to the workshop and see like the fitters, or get excited when I go to the crib room and see the other guys at work for like half an hour.
yeah.
But
Because it's just, I suppose it's, get a bit of cabin fever and then you see people, it's like, oh my God, there's people, and you get,
yeah,
yeah,
that definitely happens.
yeah,
And there's
yeah.
like obviously you sacrifice a lot working shift work as well, like
Mm,
not able to hang out with your normal friends outside of mining. Obviously, if there's events on, you can't always make them. And that puts a lot of stress on relationships and friendships. And yeah, it's hard.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And did you find, I suppose it's a little bit different being residential. I mean, a lot of people, when you ask about their physical and mental health, they're like, the food is shit, so I've gained 20 kilos.
Yeah.
I guess you don't really have that for you as such because you're going home and cooking what you want to. But do you see
Yeah.
a lot of those health impacts on people as well? Like with their physical health, they're not having, I guess, the nutrition that they need. They're not making time for their own physical health as much.
Yeah, definitely. Because like after like 12-hour shift, there's been times where I haven't been able to like been bothered to go home and cook. I'm like, fuck this, let's just go get takeaway tonight. And then once you do it one night, it leads into the next night sometimes. And then you get on break and you're like, oh, now I gotta be normal again. And it's yeah, it can be hard because you're constantly like up and down. But
Mm,
you
yeah,
make
yeah.
it work.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think you can make it work, get some good routines and good habits in place.
Yeah.
Would you say that that's probably getting those systems in place from day one?
Yeah.
Is that going to set you up for success with your physical and mental health?
Yeah, for sure. Like there's swings where like me and my partner we meal prep for lunch and dinner so that we come home and we just have our meal prep lunch or meal prep dinner that we made on our days off. And that definitely works. Like when we were doing that, like it was a lot smoother than it was and blowing out on takeaway a couple of times during swing.
Yeah.
And that has a big impact. What you eat underground as well is a big factor. If you're loading yourself up on caffeine and then you can't sleep over night time, then yeah,
Yes.
it can be
Yeah.
hard.
And I guess for me, I'm such a summer person, so I'm
Me
always my
too.
best self in summer when I get the sunshine. Even today, it's really overcast here, and I'm feeling like really lacking energy. But
Yeah.
how do you find that with being underground? You know, you're not getting the vitamin D, you're not seeing the daylight. Did you find that impacted your health a lot?
Yeah, that probably out of everything, I'd say, because I love the sunshine too. And I like going down in the dark, it's just like it is somewhat depressing. Like I love to be in the sun as well, so I can 100% relate to you in that
Yeah.
because as soon as I like, especially on night shift too, like we don't really see the sun then,
Mm,
or on day shift really. If you're in the middle of winter, you wake up in the dark, come up out of the hole in the dark, you go to bed in the dark, like you're pretty much getting no
living in the
sunlight at
dark.
all. And
Yeah.
vitamin D is so important.
Yeah, yeah, and it's really important for your body clock as well. We have a sleep coach that we have done a workshop with the girls, and yeah, like daylight is really important for getting your
Yeah,
body clock in sync for like your
yeah,
body releasing melatonin when it's supposed to and stuff like
yeah,
that has been a really big learning curve, I guess, for me. And yeah, getting that daylight when you first wake up
yeah,
is really important to set your body clock up for the whole day. So if it's just you're living in an eternal nighttime through winter, I
yeah.
don't know, I think I'd go a
It
little bit stir
definitely
crazy.
affects your mood. Definitely affects your mood for sure.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so tell us a little bit like what it's like going underground. How does it feel? So you said before you don't drive down, you go down in a
Nah,
shaft, is that correct?
yeah, the site that I'm at now, yeah. So we go down in a shaft all together. I think it can fit maybe 40 people in it. It's
Wow.
only like this little box, like this little cage, but we all huddle in there and we it has I think 6 levels and we all get off at wherever our machines are parked or wherever we're going and walk to where our machines are. But yeah, we go down in a shaft, so we don't drive down anymore. But when I first started at this site, I was like, oh, that would be a bit scary going down in the shaft, but it
Yeah.
was okay.
Yeah. And did you ever have any like I really don't know that I could be an underground person. And I know that a lot of people that work on surface, they say, you know, it takes a special kind of person to be able to go underground. Did you ever have any of those like, holy fuck, get me out of here moments, like where it was just
Probably the
really
first,
stressful?
probably the first time I went underground, I was like, oh shit, what am I like preparing myself for? Like, what am I gonna like? What am I doing? Like, I was a very claustrophobic person growing up, so the thought of even working underground when I was like younger, there was no way in hell I'd ever do that. And then I remember when I like said, oh yeah, I'll give underground truck driving a go. Like I remember sitting in the induction room just before we were like gonna do my first underground tour. I was like, shit, what if I get down there and I can't do it? Like, what if?
Mm,
But I don't know. I kind of just I got a bit like nervous and sick when we were first driving down there. And you get a bit dizzy because like you're literally just going around. It feels like you're going around in circles. But I don't know. The first time it was a bit of a shock, but you do get used to it the more you go down there. And it's kind of like when you are down there, after a while, you're like, you don't even realize that you're down there.
yeah. Yeah. I guess it
Yeah.
becomes second nature. It's just that's your
Yeah, it
workspace
does.
for the
Like
day.
when you're walking around down there, it's not very like it does come into my head a fair bit, but like, wow, you're actually like nearly a kilometer down underground and it's it's so like unnatural, but it's so like normal down there.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is safe down there. Like they wouldn't put us down there if it wasn't safe.
Yeah, 100%. Is safety something that's an issue for you? I know, like, especially when you said before that you go down in a shaft. I don't know, this is probably showing my age a little bit here, but the two men that got stuck down the mine and just the vision of them when they came back up again and they just like clocked off. This was, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago, probably, I'm not sure. Um,
Yeah.
and they got stuck under there for, oh my goodness, I can't even remember, so long. And that's like, that just vision of that came up when you said that you went down a shaft. Is safety an issue? Like, are you ever worried that, I don't know, being claustrophobic, that you get stuck halfway down there, or that something goes wrong down there and you're like so far underground? Like, is that something that
Yeah.
plays on your mind, being alone in the machine, for all
Yeah.
that time, stuck with your thoughts? Is that something that goes through your mind?
Yeah, 100%. I'd be lying if I say that there isn't multiple times throughout a shift that I don't think, fuck, what if the roof collapses on me right now? Like, I have a little panic moments every now and then down there. I just have to remind myself and breathe that it's okay. It's not going to happen, but it
Yeah.
does definitely happen. It does play on your mind. And that's why I like taking music and having a bit of like relaxing or
Mm.
keeping you distracted down there is like probably the one thing that I always try and make sure I do, keep myself distracted, because if I sit there and think about all the worst things that could happen and go wrong down there, then it's really unhealthy and bad for me. And it's,
Yeah.
yeah, it
And you
does
really
definitely
send yourself
happen. I'm not going to say
crazy.
it doesn't. Yeah, you do. You
Yeah.
drive yourself crazy and then you get home over night time and you have horrible sleeps because you've been thinking about these horrible things that could go wrong.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. And I 100% agree. They wouldn't put you down there if they knew it was a
no,
safe environment. That's not what they're
yeah,
all about. So,
no
yeah.
way. And
Yeah.
like we're never put in situations where you are expected to be in a unsafe area. Like
Mm.
it's just not something that they do to you.
Yeah.
And you put
And
yourself
so,
in that situation anyway.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, as far as like calming those nerves, quieting those voices each day, reading, not reading, listening to like audiobooks and listening to
Yeah,
music, podcasts, that kind of thing, is that what you would recommend for people? Like, are you able to?
100% I'd recommend that. Like if
Yeah.
you ever are feeling anxious or you don't want to go down there, you've got your own stuff going on outside, I would 100% recommend either a book if you're like a truckie and you can sit there reading while you're getting loaded, or even, yeah, listening to an like a podcast or an audio. I would 100% recommend just to take your mind off what's actually going on down there. Not 100% so you don't know what the hell you're doing down there, but just enough
Yeah.
to keep you distracted so that you can focus on doing your job right without all the other negative thoughts that come in and out.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. So just finishing up now, do you have an exit plan from mining? Is this something that you said before, this like being an operator is definitely not something you want to do long term, but do you have plans to keep progressing in mining? Do you have, like you said, money was like your goal, was your motivation, I guess, to get in the industry? Is there, hear of people going residential and they start and they have an exit plan. It's like 2 years, once we buy a house, then we're out of here. Like, do you have that kind of exit plan, I guess you'd say, in place for you?
I do now, but for so long I was in that limbo, like, oh yeah, we keep saving the money, we'll keep doing the holidays, we'll keep doing this. And I never had an exit plan. It was just, oh yeah, the money's coming in, we're still able to do this, we'll just keep going. But and you get trapped in that cycle for
Yeah,
a very long
yeah.
time. That's how I've still been over it in WA for 8 years. Like you just get stuck in that. But I
Mm.
do have an exit plan now. Beginning of the year, me and my partner started a business online to set us up financially to be able to leave mining comfortably. So yeah, that's what we've been working on to leave leave mining, and yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I see it a
definitely have
lot.
one in plan now.
Yeah, I see it a lot. People go residential and they've got their 2 year plan, or whatever it is, their 5 year plan, and they just enjoy the lifestyle. They get stuck with, being able to go on the holidays, being able to buy the
Yeah,
new things. And then it just, 10, 15 years later, they're still sort of, I guess you'd say, stuck in the industry. They
yeah.
haven't set themselves up. Um,
Nah, and because you get comfortable, like when you don't
yeah.
have things planned or you don't have a trip that you're saving for, you're still spent like majority of people are still spending the money elsewhere, like whether it
Mm.
be on shiny things like a new car or a new Renaults or something, and you just get used to that money and you
Uh,
definitely do get stuck with it. But I feel like being residential, those people get more stuck because they're actually living day to day with all of it. Whereas I'd find if you were doing FIFO, I feel like, oh, I don't know. Actually, never mind with that because I've never done FIFO. But it's just my perception of what that would
Yeah,
be. But yeah, you definitely do get trapped in
yeah,
the money for sure. An
yeah.
exit plan is always good, but just make sure you stick to your guns 100%. If you do have a plan to get out in 3 years, make sure you stick to it because you will. It's hard to
Mm.
not stick to it if you're not 100% on it.
Yeah, yeah, stick to your guns, absolutely. All right, finishing up, last question. Any words of wisdom or any advice that you would give to other women looking at your role on site right now, wanting to get into being an operator underground? Any words of wisdom, any advice? What would you tell them?
Just go for it. Being a woman, like being a chick, you're more than capable to do any role. Always believe that. And if you have a dickhead male on site telling you that you wouldn't be any good at it, don't listen to them. Just like go talk to one of the other chicks that have done it, or you've seen other women do it. Just believe that you can do it too, and ask as many questions as you feel you need to. Like there's never a dumb or silly question. Like everyone needs to get their questions answered, and you deserve to be able to ask questions and not feel dumb about it. And just, yeah, go in with an open mind as well.
Absolutely.
Pretty much.
Great
Yeah.
advice. I love it. I love it. Just go for it. Just don't be
Yeah,
scared.
you have to.
Women can do
Don't be
anything.
scared. You can do anything, and don't ever be afraid to speak up. If something feels uncomfortable or you just don't feel safe doing something, make sure you speak up because like there's so many times I've seen so many people just not say anything, and I can tell like it goes to show in other areas that it affected them, and it's not nice. Just be able to speak up and don't be scared to, because yeah, that's a stigma that's trying to be broken at the moment. But I 100% agree and recommend not speak up.
Fantastic. Great advice. Thank you so much for joining us today. It has been fantastic getting an insight into what it's like being an underground operator.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure that, you will inspire many women to just go for it, give it a go.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Don't ever be afraid. You've all got what it takes.
fantastic.
100%.
Thank you.
Thanks, Emma.
Thanks.